Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln pennies coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we've got something truly extraordinary for you, the 1972 United States 1-cent coin. Yes, you heard that right, a seemingly ordinary penny that could be worth an unbelievable amount of money today. If you're a coin lover or a treasure hunter, this video is a must-watch. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll be absolutely amazed by what a 1972 penny could fetch on the market. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. At first glance, the 1972 1-cent coin may look like just another penny. You might find it lying in the bottom of your coin jar, buried under a pile of loose change, and assume it's worth only its face value, just 1 cent. But here's the twist: this coin, in the right condition, can actually be worth thousands, and even tens of thousands, of dollars. What makes this coin so special? Let's dive in. First, let's talk about the history behind the 1972 penny. This year was significant in American history, as it marked the United States' transition into the 1970s, a decade filled with social and political change. But the 1972 penny itself wasn't anything particularly special when it was first minted. It was a standard issue, made from copper-plated zinc, and it featured the famous design by Victor David Brenner, with the iconic Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the memorial building on the reverse. These pennies were made in huge quantities, which makes most 1972 pennies you find today completely ordinary and, sadly, not very valuable. But here's where things get interesting. What if I told you that a specific error or variation of the 1972 penny could make it incredibly valuable? That's right, there are rare variants of the 1972 penny that were created due to minting mistakes or unusual production processes, and those are the coins you need to watch out for. One of the most sought-after 1972 pennies is the double die obverse variety. This is a coin that has a noticeable doubling effect on the inscriptions and features on the obverse, or front, of the coin. If you take a close look at the lettering, especially the word Liberty and the date, 1972, you'll see a clear doubling of the text. This happens when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to be stamped more than once, leading to this unique doubling effect. It's a mistake that's rare, but not impossible to find. Why is this doubling so valuable, you ask? Well, for one, it makes the coin a unique piece of history. As a result, these error coins are highly coveted by collectors. The more pronounced the doubling, the higher the value, as it demonstrates a significant minting error. If you happen to come across one of these coins with noticeable doubling, don't dismiss it as just a worn penny. This could be your ticket to a small fortune. But wait, there's more. Some of these 1972 pennies also exhibit other minting errors, such as die clashes, where parts of the design from other coins accidentally transfer onto the penny. These errors happen when the dies used to strike the coin are damaged or improperly aligned. Die clashes can create interesting and often bizarre visual effects on coins, making them even more unique and desirable. These unusual coins are prized by collectors who enjoy hunting for those rare, one-of-a-kind pieces that tell the story of the minting process. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. Like all collectibles, the condition is absolutely key to its value. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin. A well-preserved 1972 double die obverse penny, for example, will fetch significantly more than one that has been heavily worn or damaged over time. If you happen to have a 1972 penny that's been sitting in a drawer for years and looks like it just came out of a mint, congratulations. You could be holding on to something truly valuable, but even a coin with slight wear can still be worth more than you might expect. As long as the error is visible and significant, collectors are often willing to pay a premium for these rare finds. After all, it's the rarity and the error that make the coin so desirable. That's why it's so important to carefully inspect your pennies. Don't just toss them aside because they look like any other coin. You could be sitting on a hidden treasure, so, what kind of money can you expect to get for a 1972 penny with a rare error? Well, depending on the error and the condition, these coins can range in value. But here's the jaw-dropping part: a 1972 double-die obverse penny in mint condition, with clear and obvious doubling, could be worth $62,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $62,000 for a single penny. Imagine stumbling across one of these in your coin collection or at a garage sale. It could be the find of a lifetime. The high demand for rare error coins means that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. So, if you have any 1972 pennies lying around, it's definitely worth taking a closer look to see if you've got a rare one on your hands. To wrap it up, the 1972 United States 1-cent coin is a perfect example of how something that seems so ordinary can turn into a treasure. It's all about the errors, the rarity, and the condition. If you find a 1972 penny with a doubling error or another unique feature, don't let it slip through your fingers. It could be worth much more than its face value, and possibly more than you ever imagined. Top 2, we're going to talk about a hidden gem that might just be sitting in your coin jar right now, and it could be worth a small fortune. That's right, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1975 United States 1-cent coin. This coin may look like just another penny, but believe it or not, it could be worth a whole lot more than you might think. Now, I know what you're probably thinking: a 1975 penny? How much could it possibly be worth? Well, buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed by the value some of these pennies can fetch. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting your coin hunting journey, this video is packed with information you'll definitely want to know. So, keep watching as we explore the history, rarity, and value of the 1975 1-cent coin. Let's start by talking about the year itself. The 1975 penny came at an interesting time in American history. The United States was in the middle of a tough economic period, with inflation rising and the country adjusting to the challenges of the 1970s. But, just like any other year, the U.S. Mint was still producing coins, including the familiar 1-cent coin. The 1975 penny has the iconic Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse and Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse. This design was first introduced in 1909 and has been a staple of U.S. coinage for over a century. While most 1975 pennies were struck in large numbers and circulated widely, some of these coins hold special value. You see, it's not the design or the year itself that makes certain 1975 pennies valuable, it's the minting errors and rare variants that were produced during this time. So, let's dive deeper into the rarity and what you should be looking for. One of the most important things to understand about the 1975 penny is that there were some significant minting errors that occurred during this year. These errors are what makes certain 1975 pennies stand out from the rest, and they're the reason why some of these coins can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. What kinds of errors should you be on the lookout for? Let me tell you, the most valuable and sought-after version of the 1975 penny is the double die variety. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the image to be stamped twice in a slightly offset position. The result? A noticeable doubling effect on the text and design. If you closely examine the coin, especially the word Liberty and the date, 1975, you'll see that the letters and numbers appear doubled, creating a unique and striking visual effect. But why does this matter so much? Well, double die errors are relatively rare, and they can make a coin much more valuable. Coins with this error are highly prized by collectors because they are not only unique but also reflect the imperfections of the minting process. When you come across a 1975 penny with visible doubling, it's not just a minor flaw, it's a major selling point. Now, the value of these coins doesn't just depend on the error itself, condition is absolutely key. Just like with any collectible, the better the condition, the higher the value. A 1975 penny with a double die error in mint state, meaning it has little to no wear or damage, can be worth significantly more than one that has been in circulation for years and shows heavy wear. It's also worth noting that coins with clear and well-defined doubling are much more valuable than those with less noticeable errors, so the more prominent the doubling, the more money the coin can bring in, but there's even more. Some 1975 pennies were struck with different types of die errors, such as off-center, strikes or die cracks. These errors occur when the minting dies are damaged or misaligned, leading to unusual features on the coin. A penny with an off-center strike, for example, may have parts of the design missing, or the image may appear shifted, which makes the coin even rarer and more desirable to collectors. Die cracks can also appear as raised lines or breaks in the design, further increasing the coin's uniqueness. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how much are these rare error pennies worth? Here's the exciting part. If you happen to find a 1975 penny with a pronounced double die error and it's in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth $60,000. That's right, $60,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding one of these in your spare change or at a local coin shop. It's a collector's dream come true, but even if the penny doesn't have a major error, don't give up hope just yet. Some 1975 pennies, depending on their condition and specific characteristics, can still be worth more than their face value. A well-preserved 1975 penny without any obvious errors could still fetch a respectable amount, especially if it's graded highly by a professional grading service. The demand for older coins in good condition is always strong, and certain years, like 1975, tend to have a higher interest from collectors. So, how do you know if your 1975 penny is valuable? The best thing you can do is to inspect it carefully. Look closely at the lettering, the design, and any possible doubling or unusual features. A magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe can be a great tool for examining the finer details. If you spot a double die or any other significant minting error, you could be holding onto a rare and valuable piece of history, and there you have it. The 1975 United States 1-cent coin may seem like just another penny, but for those who know what to look for, it could be a treasure worth thousands. With its potential errors and unique features, it's a coin that every collector should be aware of. Whether it's a double die error, an off-center strike, or another rare variant, the 1975 penny has a place in the hearts of collectors, and the wallets of those lucky enough to find one. Top 3. We're going to take a deep dive into the 1981 United States 1-cent coin, and you might be surprised at just how much this little penny could be worth. It might look like a simple, everyday coin, but when you look closer, you'll see it's not just any ordinary penny. This 1981 coin could be worth far more than its face value. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll be stunned by the potential value of a single 1981 penny. Let's jump right in. First off, let's talk about the year 1981. It was a time of change and transition in the United States, with political shifts, economic changes, and social movements making their mark. For the U.S. Mint, 1981 was just another year of producing coins. The 1981 penny, like most pennies, featured the iconic Abraham Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. These were standard designs, familiar to anyone who spent time handling U.S. coins. But while these pennies were produced in large quantities, it's the rare minting errors from that year that set certain 1981 pennies apart from the rest. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1981 penny so special, and why are some of them worth so much? Well, it's all about the errors and the condition of the coin. Minting errors can happen for a number of reasons: misaligned dies, damaged minting equipment, or even issues with the coins themselves, leading to rare and unique variations that collectors go crazy for. One of the most sought-after and valuable 1981 pennies is the double die variety. If you're not familiar with the term double die, it refers to a coin that has a noticeable doubling effect on the design elements, usually the lettering or the date. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the design to be stamped more than once, creating a double image. For example, on the 1981 penny, you'll often see clear doubling on the word Liberty and the date, 1981, itself. It's a subtle, but striking error that makes the coin a true rarity. But why does this make the coin so valuable? Well, collectors love minting errors like these because they're unique. A double die penny isn't something that can be replicated, and it's a testament to the imperfections that occurred during the minting process. The more pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin can be. So, if you happen to find a 1981 penny with noticeable doubling, it's more than just a cool find, it could be your key to a significant payday. There's also something incredibly appealing about collecting coins with minting errors, especially for those who enjoy tracking down one-of-a-kind pieces. It's like being a detective, searching for clues and uncovering hidden treasures. The thrill of discovering a rare error coin is what makes collecting so exciting. And when it comes to the 1981 penny, the double die error is definitely one of the most prized finds in the world of coin collecting. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with any collectible, condition is key to determining the value. A 1981 penny with a double die error in mint or near mint condition can command much higher prices than one that has been heavily worn or circulated. If you happen to come across a 1981 penny with a well-defined double die error, in pristine condition, it could be worth a small fortune. Even a penny with some wear, as long as the doubling is visible, can still be worth significantly more than its face value. There are also other types of minting errors to look out for in the 1981 penny, such as off-center strikes or die cracks. Off-center strikes occur when the coin is not properly aligned in the minting press, causing the design to be struck at an angle or in an incomplete manner. Coins with this error can be extremely rare, depending on the extent of the misalignment, and they can be worth quite a bit more than a regular penny. Die cracks, on the other hand, occur when the dies used to strike the coin are damaged, leaving raised lines or cracks in the design. These types of errors add a whole new layer of uniqueness to the coin and make it even more valuable to collectors who appreciate the history and imperfections of the minting process. But here's the best part: how much could a 1981 penny with one of these rare errors be worth? Are you ready for this? If you've got a 1981 penny with a noticeable double die error, especially one that's in mint or near mint condition, it could be worth an astonishing $54,000, that's right, $54,000 for a single penny. I know it sounds unbelievable, but this is the reality of rare error coins. The combination of rarity, uniqueness, and collector demand can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into a true treasure. So, the next time you go through your change, don't just toss that 1981 penny aside. Take a closer look, because you could be holding on to something much more valuable than you think. Coin collecting is all about the thrill of the hunt, and with a little patience and attention to detail, you could find yourself discovering a rare piece of history. Whether it's the double die error or another unique feature, the 1981 penny is one coin you'll want to keep an eye on. And who knows? You might just stumble across a valuable find that could change your life. Top 4. We've got a coin that might be sitting in your pocket right now, or perhaps buried in your change jar, and you wouldn't believe just how much it could be worth. We're talking about the 1968 United States 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny, but one that could be worth a fortune. Trust me, after you hear about this coin's rarity and value, you'll be looking at every penny you come across a lot more carefully. Now, you might be thinking, a 1968 penny? How valuable can that be? Well, don't let its age fool you. While most 1968 pennies are just like any other circulating coin, there are certain rare and valuable varieties of this penny that could make it worth a lot more than you ever expected. The 1968 penny, like many other coins from the late 60s, came at a time of great change in the United States. This was a period marked by political turmoil, social upheaval, and economic shifts, so much happening in the world, yet these pennies were being minted in the background, quietly waiting for their time to shine. The 1968 penny features the classic design of Abraham Lincoln, with his profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. These were simple, yet iconic designs that had been in circulation for decades. But, as we know, it's often the imperfections and mistakes in the minting process that create valuable coins. And that's exactly where the 1968 penny has its special potential. So, what makes the 1968 penny so interesting, and why are some of them so valuable? It all comes down to one thing: minting errors. These errors can range from small design flaws to significant mistakes that make the coin truly unique. While most of the 1968 pennies were produced and circulated with no issues, a small percentage of them were struck with errors that make them highly sought after by collectors. One of the most important errors to look for in the 1968 penny is the double die variety. This error occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once by the die during the minting process, leading to a doubling effect on the letters and numbers. For the 1968 penny, the double die error typically shows up in the word Liberty and the date, 1968. If you closely examine the coin, you'll see that the text appears doubled, giving it a slightly blurry and offset look. This is a clear sign that the coin is a valuable error, and collectors are always on the lookout for pennies with this kind of distinctive feature. But why does this doubling make the coin so special? Well, it's because of its rarity. Double die coins are relatively uncommon, and finding one in good condition is even rarer. For collectors, these errors are a goldmine, as they add a layer of uniqueness to the coin. Not only does it make the coin a one-of-a-kind piece, but it also represents a small, yet significant flaw in the minting process, a flaw that makes it stand out from all the other 1968 pennies that were perfectly struck. Another error that could increase the value of a 1968 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't aligned properly in the minting press, causing part of the design to be missing or misaligned. This can result in a coin that looks like it's been stamped at an angle, or has a portion of the design cut off. While these off-center errors are less common than double die coins, they're still highly prized by collectors, and they can drive up the value of a coin significantly. Die cracks are another form of minting error that can be found on some 1968 pennies. When the dies used to strike the coins become damaged, they can leave cracks or raised lines in the design, creating a distinct and collectible feature. Die cracks can appear in various places on the coin, but on a 1968 penny, you might see them near Lincoln's portrait or around the date. These cracks can make the coin even more unique and valuable, as they serve as a testament to the imperfect and sometimes unpredictable nature of the minting process. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with any collectible, condition is everything when it comes to determining value. A 1968 penny with a noticeable error, like a double die, off-center strike, or die crack, will be worth much more if it's in excellent condition. The better the condition, the higher the price it can command. A well-preserved 1968 penny with a double die error could potentially be worth thousands of dollars, while one that's been heavily circulated with a lot of wear will be worth much less. But here's where it gets really exciting. If you've got a 1968 penny with a prominent double die error in near mint or mint condition, you could be looking at a coin worth an astounding $76,000. That's right, $76,000 for a single penny. It might sound unbelievable, but this is the reality of rare error coins. The rarity of these coins, combined with the high demand from collectors, can lead to prices that far exceed what you might expect for a simple 1-cent piece. Now, you might be thinking, how do I know if my 1968 penny is worth this kind of money? The key is in the details. Take a close look at the coin, especially the date and the word Liberty. If you see any kind of doubling or unusual features, you could be in possession of a rare and valuable error. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to help you get a better view of the design. And if you're still unsure, you can always take it to a professional coin grader who can give you an accurate assessment of its value. So, next time you're going through your change or looking through your coin collection, don't overlook those 1968 pennies. A simple coin from over 50 years ago could be worth a lot more than you think. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or a die crack, the 1968 penny has the potential to be a rare and valuable treasure. Top 5. We have an exciting and incredibly rare coin to talk about, the 1961 United States 1-cent coin. Now, this might look like a regular penny at first glance, but trust me, if you look a little closer, it might just be worth a small fortune. In fact, you could be holding onto a coin worth far more than its 1-cent value. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be shocked at just how valuable a 1961 penny can be. The 1961 penny was struck at a time when America was in the midst of the post-war era, an era of great change, innovation, and transformation. It was a time when things like television, the space race, and the growing civil rights movement were on the rise. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins to meet the growing demands of a rapidly changing economy. And while the 1961 penny might seem ordinary, it's actually full of history and potential value, especially if you happen to come across one with a minting error. What makes the 1961 penny so special? Well, it's a combination of rarity, historical significance, and, most importantly, minting errors. If you know anything about coin collecting, you probably already understand that errors are the key to finding coins that are worth a lot more than their face value. Errors in the minting process are rare, and they're what makes certain coins stand out and become highly desirable to collectors. The 1961 penny is no exception. While most of these pennies were struck without any issues, a small percentage of them were produced with errors that make them incredibly valuable. Let's talk about one of the most exciting errors you'll want to look out for, the double die error. This type of error occurs when the coin is struck more than once by the die, creating a doubling effect on the design, especially on the lettering and the numbers. For the 1961 penny, this doubling typically appears on the word Liberty and the date, 1961. The doubling can be subtle, but with a keen eye, you'll notice that the letters appear slightly blurry or offset. If you come across a 1961 penny with this error, then you found something really special, something that will attract the attention of collectors who are always on the hunt for rare varieties like this. But that's not all. The 1961 penny is also known for having a potential RPM or repunched mintmark error. This happens when the mintmark on the coin, which identifies the mint where the coin was produced, is struck more than once. You might see an extra D or S next to the original mintmark, indicating that the die was punched multiple times during the minting process. These types of errors are highly prized among collectors because they're both rare and unique. An RPM on a 1961 penny could make it even more valuable, and it's something to definitely keep an eye out for. Additionally, some 1961 pennies may also feature what's called a die crack. A die crack occurs when the die used to strike the coin becomes damaged, causing a raised line to appear in the design. This crack can be found in various locations on the coin, but on a 1961 penny, it may appear along Lincoln's portrait or around the edge of the coin. Die cracks add character and uniqueness to a coin, and they can significantly increase its value, especially if the crack is prominent. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. Just like any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. A 1961 penny that's been circulating for decades might show signs of wear and tear, but if it has been well preserved, it could be worth much more than you think. Coins that are in excellent or mint condition, especially those with rare errors, are the ones that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. So, if you happen to find a 1961 penny with a double die, RPM, or die crack, make sure to carefully check its condition. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin becomes, and here's the part that will really get you excited. If you find a 1961 penny in near mint condition with a rare error, like the double die or RPM, it could be worth an incredible $84,000. Yes, you heard that right, $84,000 for a single penny. It might sound unbelievable, but rare error coins like these can fetch prices that will leave you stunned. That's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about collecting change, it's about finding hidden gems that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. So, what's the takeaway here? Don't underestimate that 1961 penny you find lying in your change. It might seem like just another ordinary coin, but it could be hiding a rare minting error that makes it worth a small fortune. Double die errors, RPMs, and die cracks are just a few of the ways that a 1961 penny could stand out and become a prized collectible. Top 6, we're going to talk about a coin that's probably sitting in your collection or even your spare change right now, the 1979 United States 1-cent coin. It may look like just another penny, but wait until you hear about the rare errors it could have, and how it could make you a fortune. You might want to check your old coins, because this penny could be worth more than you'd ever imagine. First off, let's set the stage. The year 1979 was a time of interesting change in America. It was the tail end of the 1970s, and while the world was changing, so was U.S. currency. The US Mint was still producing coins with the classic designs we all know and love, but certain years had unique circumstances that made certain coins incredibly rare. The 1979 penny is one of those coins that might seem insignificant at first, but trust me, it has the potential to surprise you. The 1979 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial series and features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. While these designs had been in circulation for decades, this particular year had some interesting variations that would become a major attraction for collectors down the line. But here's where it gets really interesting. Just like with other famous era coins, it's the mistakes in the minting process that can cause a coin's value to skyrocket. So what kind of errors are we talking about? One of the most sought-after variations of the 1979 penny is the double die error. This happens when a coin is struck by the die more than once during the minting process, causing the design to appear doubled or blurry. For the 1979 penny, you'll most likely see this doubling in the word Liberty and the date, 1979. It's not always easy to spot, but if you carefully inspect the letters with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, you might notice the distinctive doubling effect. It's one of the key features that collectors look for when evaluating the 1979 penny, but wait, that's not the only error to look out for. There's another variation of the 1979 penny that could make it even more valuable, the repunched mint mark or RPM. In some cases, the mint mark that shows where the coin was made, usually a D or S, was stamped more than once, resulting in a mint mark that appears doubled or offset. If you find a 1979 penny with this error, it could be worth significantly more than a standard coin. It's a small detail that can make a big difference in value. Additionally, some 1979 pennies exhibit what's known as a die crack or die chip. Over time, the dies used to strike coins can become worn or damaged, resulting in cracks or chips in the design. This can leave a visible mark on the coin, adding a unique feature that collectors find fascinating. A die crack or chip can make a 1979 penny even more rare and desirable, particularly if it's located in a prominent area, such as near Lincoln's portrait or around the date. Now, let's talk about what really makes a 1979 penny stand out: its rarity. Even though millions of these pennies were minted in 1979, not all of them made it through the years in pristine condition. Many of them were used in daily transactions and have since become worn or damaged. What makes the 1979 penny valuable is finding one that has survived in excellent or mint condition, especially if it has one of the rare minting errors we just talked about. It's the coins in near-perfect condition, with that special error, that collectors are really after, and here's the part you've been waiting for. Are you ready? If you happen to find a 1979 penny with one of these rare errors, especially in excellent or mint condition, you could be looking at a coin worth an astounding $64,000, yes, you read that correctly. A 1979 penny, in top condition with a double die or RPM error, could fetch up to $64,000. It's hard to believe that something as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny could hold such value, but that's the magic of rare coin collecting. The rarity of these coins combined with the high demand from collectors can lead to incredible prices. So, what does this mean for you? If you've got a jar full of pennies or an old collection of coins, it's time to take a closer look at those 1979 pennies. A simple coin that's been lying around could turn out to be a rare find. Whether it's a double die, an RPM, or a die crack, there are plenty of features that could make your 1979 penny worth much more than a cent. To wrap up, remember this: the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. That 1979 penny you thought was just another part of your pocket change could be hiding a rare error that makes it a valuable treasure. Keep an eye out for those minting errors, and make sure to check the condition of your coins, because you never know when you might come across a coin worth thousands of dollars. Top 7 and last rare coin, we've got something truly fascinating to talk about: the 1982 United States 1-cent coin. Now, you might think a penny is just a penny, right? Well, think again. This little coin from 1982 could be worth far more than its face value, much more. Stick with me because, by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at just how much this small coin can be worth and why it's become a hot item for collectors. First off, let's talk about the year 1982. It was a time of change in America, and the U.S. Mint was in the process of making some important adjustments to the coinage system. Most notably, the composition of the penny was altered in 1982. Prior to this, the penny was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint decided to shift the composition of the penny to 97.5% zinc with just a thin copper plating. This change was a big deal, and it's one of the reasons why the 1982 penny is so interesting to collectors today. Why does this change matter? Well, in 1982, the Mint actually struck two different types of pennies, copper and zinc-based, within the same year. So, if you come across a 1982 penny, you could be holding a coin made with a completely different composition than another 1982 penny. But that's just the beginning of why this particular year is so valuable. Here's the kicker: both the copper and zinc pennies from 1982 have their own unique qualities, but it's the mistakes made during the minting process that can turn a typical penny into a rare gem. Yes, you heard me right, minting errors can make a coin worth far more than its face value, and the 1982 penny is no exception. Let's talk about some of the errors you should be on the lookout for. One of the most sought-after variations is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck by the die more than once, causing the design to appear doubled. On the 1982 penny, the doubling often appears on the word Liberty and the date, 1982, making it easier to spot if you know what you're looking for. The doubling effect can be subtle, but with a magnifying glass, you'll be able to see the telltale signs, slightly blurry or offset lettering. Double die coins are highly prized among collectors because they're rare and represent a mistake in the minting process that makes the coin unique. Another minting error that can make the 1982 penny stand out is the off-center error. When a coin is struck off-center, it causes part of the design to be missing or shifted to one side. These coins are fascinating because they show just how imperfect the minting process can be. If you have an off-center 1982 penny, it's likely to be worth more than a regular one. It's the kind of coin that can spark interest among collectors because it's a visual representation of an error that happened in the production process. And then there's the copper plating error. Remember, in 1982, the U.S. Mint switched to zinc for most of the pennies, but some of the zinc pennies were mistakenly plated with copper, making them appear like their older counterparts. These copper-plated 1982 pennies are rare because most of them were made with the new zinc composition. So, if you find a penny from 1982 that looks like it's made of copper, it's a mistake that could be worth a lot of money. So, you might be wondering, how much could a 1982 penny with these errors actually be worth? Well, it depends on the rarity of the error, the condition of the coin, and how well it's been preserved. But here's something that will truly blow your mind: a 1982 penny with one of these minting errors, especially in pristine or near-mint condition, can be worth up to an incredible $52,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1982 penny could be worth $52,000 if it has the right minting error and is in great condition. It's hard to believe that something as small as a penny could be worth so much, but that's the magic of rare coins. Coin collectors are constantly searching for these rare varieties, and they're willing to pay top dollar for them. So, if you've got a jar full of 1982 pennies, it's definitely worth your time to take a closer look and check for any of these unique errors. In fact, many of these rare error coins have been sold at auctions for big prices, making them some of the most highly sought-after items in the coin collecting world. The thrill of finding a coin that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars is what makes this hobby so exciting. And you never know, you might just have a hidden treasure sitting right in front of you. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? The 1982 penny may seem like just another piece of pocket change, but it could be hiding a minting error that makes it incredibly valuable. Whether it's a double die, off-center, or copper plating error, the 1982 penny could be worth far more than 1 cent. If you're lucky enough to find one with an error, especially in good condition, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. That's all for today's video, but before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more exciting coin discoveries. And don't forget to check your 1982 pennies, who knows? You might just find a hidden treasure worth a lot more than you ever expected. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.